by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
What's on your mind, Cayman? If you're ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Discussing current events and local news, community spotlights, hot topics, listener stories, cultural and historical discussions, environmental issues, fun and lighthearted topics, guest interviews. Cayman, basically anything you want to talk about, we are ready to listen. Here's your guest host.
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. I'm your guest host, Orrett Connor, and we have two very important guests in the studio this afternoon. You will hear from them as soon as we return. Please stay tuned.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Talk Today is also brought to you by Mike's Builders. Call 923-0706. Mike Builders. They make it happen. Talk Today is reminding you
to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990. 949-8037 or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
And now, back to Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. Those of you who are wishing to express your opinions, we're inviting you to please send your comments or concerns to our WhatsApp number. That number is 925-3261. I will repeat it, 925-3261. So it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this afternoon Mr. Elio Solomon, who's the Executive Program Manager for the Association for Cruise Tourism, known by the acronym ACT in the Cayman Islands. Of course, many of you know Mr. Solomon, who is a visionary leader whose career spans public service, private sector innovation, and community impact in the Cayman Islands. Today, Mr. Solomon serves as the Executive Program Manager of the Association for Cruise Tourism, ACT, in the Cayman Islands, and is also the Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center Limited. Also in the studio with me is Mr. Alexander Gumbs, the CEO of Port St. Martin. Mr. Gumbs is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the management team at the Port St. Martin Group, known by the acronym PSG. The national leading maritime company comprising 13 companies since 2021. PSG operates across the cruise, cargo, yachting, and real estate business pillars. Before becoming CEO, Mr. Gumbs was the Director of Operations and Development for the world's largest cruise corporation. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. I just always say OC, but
that's fine. OC is fine.
Mr. Orrett Connor.
If you call me anything else, some people may not recognize
Absolutely.
it.
Well, it is a pleasure. I think this is perhaps the first opportunity that I've got to sit here in the studio with you. And so congratulations on that. And I always remember you in terms of, Chief Immigration Officer at one point. You have obviously my respect. I just wanted to say thank you very much for having us here on the program. I think most people know me, and I'm now presently serving the position as Executive Program Manager, as you've rightly stated, for ACT. And I'm sure from time to time I want to chime into the discussion, but I really want as much as possible to have the focus on Mr. Alex Gumbs, who, as you rightly stated, is the Chief Executive Officer for the Port Authority in St. Martin. And I believe I would start off by simply saying I think that he has a lot of knowledge and experience that he can share. I think there was a time that St. Martin, a country that is half the size of Grand Cayman, was in a similar situation where it's, do we move forward with a peer, do we not move forward? And I think that we've seen that they've been beneficial in terms of taking that step forward, that leap forward with it. And I don't want to steal any of his thunder. And with that, I'm just going to ask him to go ahead and introduce himself, and let's see if we can jump right into the conversation.
Certainly. Mr. Gumbs, welcome.
Good afternoon to your radio listeners. Good afternoon to those who may be streaming online. It's a pleasure to be here in the beautiful Cayman Islands, being invited to share the story from, a St. Martin perspective and how we were able to grow as a destination, focusing on the cruise industry in particular. But also looking ahead in terms of some of the additional investments that we will be making to keep up with the growth of the industry. So it's quite a pleasure to be here. I would say OC.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine.
Just me being able to share with your listeners and your viewers, what that potential berth facility can contribute to the economy. And I would just like to start with one point I was thinking about this morning. And I said, oh, wow, I should have said that on the program yesterday as well. But right after the pandemic, as every business sector, suffered very, very bad. And in 2021, we had less than 1 million cruise passengers. Normally, as a destination, we average between 1.5 and 1.7, sometimes 1.8 million cruise passengers. That's the threshold that we look at. And in 2021, I actually returned back to the destination. I was selected as a top candidate of about 30 persons that applied, and I became the CEO. And during that period, for me, it was looking at how do we restore the coffers of the company, taking a hit of millions of dollars because of no business for 18 months, but also strategically looking ahead, where we created a high-level plan focusing on tapping into the industry. And I went to the barber one day and I said, how is things going, Jack? That's the name of the barber. He said, boy, things are slow. I said, things are slow? I said, but I understand we didn't do much cruise passengers this month in particular, that was. But, going to the barber is like a regular. He said, no, but you don't understand. When tourism is down, people look at going to the barber shop as a luxury. Because who is going to go and pay $20 or $25 every 4 or 5 days and they're not working? So because tourism was down, persons weren't working, and the barber and all felt the effect of it. So I say that to say that, while this conversation may be focused around tour operators and those in the immediate vicinity, there is a huge trickle-down effect that this business has to your economy. If you think about the ATMs and the banks, when passengers come, they go to the ATMs, that's transaction fees. They put on their data on their phone, their room. The telecom companies also benefit from it. So at times you look at surveys and you see the expenditure of passengers. It's not only based on what they spend in the stores. No, it's the holistic contribution to the economy. And I just wanted to say that to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I don't want to take your job away from you, Mr.
No, that's fine.
But I think it was one of the interesting things that I think, again, as I've said, is their experience, particularly in that decision-making time with respect to the port. So I would definitely like to hear Mr. Gumbs speak a little bit to that in terms of when St. Martin had to make that tough decision of whether to move forward a peer or not. Perhaps you can share that with us.
For us, this all started in 1995. So a short 3 decades ago, we had a horrendous storm, a hurricane category 5, Hurricane Lewis at the time, and it basically obliterated the island. And that did 2 things. It allowed the island to enhance its building codes and environmental approach in terms of construction. And 2, it forced reinvestments into infrastructure. And part of that was the construction of the cruise facilities, because we've been having cruise ships coming to the island since 1964. Just last year, we celebrated 60 years of cruise St. Martin.
Wow.
And we look at how that business developed from, let's say, 2001, when the cruise facilities, the first phase of the cruise facilities was completed, to today. It's just remarkable. And of course, the construction, before the construction period, of course, there were pockets within the community that were a bit reserved in terms of what that investment would mean to the country. And, you know, it took time to share the plans, but before you share plans, you have to have the opportunity, you have to have the opportunity to actually go out and do the wave action studies, and go out and do the environmental impact studies, and look at the best locations for the port facilities, etc. But you can't get there if there's not even an opportunity to actually get that preliminary research done. And once that research was done in St. Martin, it was framed and packaged in a way that you saw the immediate potential of improving on the experience. At the time, we too had ferries ferrying passengers from the cruise ship to landing docks. But when we looked around, when they at the time, because I was not part of the business at that time, but when they looked around, they saw the huge benefits of passengers being able to get on and off of a ship without having long wait lines, without not having to wait in the rain. But also, I said this in one of the previous interviews, I have two kids. My son is 1.5 years old and my daughter is 3.5. My daughter, I've been on 3 cruises already. And when we travel with a double trolley, right? So if I were to go to a destination on a cruise ship that have a ferry system, I more than likely would not come off of the ship as a person, because with kids, you always forget something on a ship. You have to get back. There's an explosion in a diaper from your son, and you only have one change of clothes. You need to get back to the ship. But you're not going to stay 45 minutes of 60 minutes to get back on the ship and come back off. No, you're more than likely going to stay on the ship. And that was something that they saw in St. Martin at the time. And with great strides, with great consultants, with the support of the community, with the continuous informing of the community, I think we have seen the benefits from those developments in 2001. In 2009, well, actually started in 2007, we had strategic discussions with certain brands, and they announced that they will be launching vessels that are not capable to berth on the current facilities. So what we did as a country, we invested even more in expanding the facilities to host vessels now as the largest ships in the world, icon of the seas.
Okay, we're going to go to a commercial break now, and I want you to continue along that thread. And one of the questions that we have during the decision, after the decision to expand for berthing facilities, I'd like you to talk about the competing interests, whether or not there were competing interests, out there, environmental, financial, or otherwise, that you had to cope with before arriving at that decision, and how you went about arriving at it. Was it a national decision? Was it a decision that could be taken by the executive or by the legislature without any public consultation? Folks, please stay tuned. The conversation with Mr. Elio Solomon and Mr. Alexander Gumbs will continue after this short commercial break.
Hello, Red Bay. I'm Roy Tatum, your PPM candidate. I've served our country for years, leading through challenges and delivering results that matter. I'm stepping forward to serve you because Red Bay deserves caring, attentive representation. I'm not here to make noise. I am here to make a difference, to listen, to work hard, and to stand up for what's right for our people and for love of country. If you want someone who won't quit on you, who leads with experience and heart, I'm ready. Vote for trust and commitment. Vote number 3, Roy Tatum for Red Bay.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just the delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit CaymanAirways.com/cargo.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
Cayman's cruise industry can thrive without a peer. Instead of handing cruise lines more power, we should focus on better visitor experiences, fairer deals for local businesses, and smarter tourism investments. Many destinations are standing up for their local economies. So can we. Let's strengthen our cruise industry without giving up control. Vote no on April 30th.
Let's invest in what works. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
Are you a creator or inventor? Want to legally protect your work? Be known for it? How about make money from it? Wouldn't that be awesome? Cayman is celebrating intellectual property this month, leading up to World Intellectual Property Day on April 26. But don't wait to join the celebration. Learn how to get your patent, trademark, design, or copyright registered today by visiting the Cayman Islands Intellectual Property Office website at ciipo.ky.
Attention, young voters in Cayman Brac. Are you between the ages of 18 to 35 years old? Well then, the Cayman Islands National Party invites you to espresso your vote at the Cabana Kai Cafe. Come on out on Sunday, 27th April from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and socialize for a stronger Cayman Brac. This is your opportunity to meet with majority of the Cayman Islands National Party candidates, chat with like-minded young leaders, and discuss key issues and solutions for your future. We look forward to seeing you there. This ad is sponsored by the Cayman Islands National Party.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to For the Record. For those of you who are just joining us, we do have in the studio with us the Executive Program Manager for the Association for Cruise Tourism, known by the acronym ACT, Mr. Elio Solomon, and our very special guest in the studio this afternoon, Mr. Alexander Gumbs, who is the CEO of Port St. Martin. And Mr. Gumbs, you were talking earlier about the need to enhance your berthing facilities because, you know, of the pressing need in terms of larger cruise ships arriving in St. Martin. And one of the questions that I had had to do with when that decision was made, and were there competing interests in terms of whether or not it should or shouldn't be done, whether it was an executive decision or a legislative decision, or did the country listen to the voice of the people and had to go the route of a referendum, let's say?
So the situation in St. Martin was not unique. What you have here is not unique. You know, we've seen similar at that time. It did not lead, however, to a referendum. But of course, there were a lot of stakeholder consultations. Ultimately, it was a decision made between the Port Authority and the executive branch of government, at the time, the commissioners. And, you know, that decision was made in close consultation and discussion with the Nature Foundation.
Okay.
And, you know, these type of projects of this scale, you create building teams during the process. So once you get to the point where you're researching and looking at the benefits and the manner in which the construction should take place, that also would include consultations with local and various stakeholder groups. And, you know, ultimately, the decision was made in St. Martin to build 2 finger piers on pylons, minimum impact to the sea bottom, way less impact than having ships on anchor and dragging, and, you know, additional usage of fuel to keep the ship in the bow thrusters, ship stabilized. So from that perspective, that was the road that was taken. And, you know, looking at the benefits that came from that was tremendous. Of course, one of the parties during that period of time that was very concerned for their business was the ferry/tender operators, because, of course, with the creation of a port facility, they thought that their business would have fell to zero, but it was actually quite the opposite. They actually expanded their business into a water taxi system, which actually allowed the destination to grow even further from a volume perspective, because we were better able to move passengers. If you go to cruise conferences, you'll frequently hear executives and, for example, FCCA would frequently reference St. Martin as Elio mentioned, a 37 square mile island, half the size of Cayman Island, but welcoming 1.5 plus million passengers to the destination. In 2014, we had 2 million passengers. But, you know, it was just the fact that we could have and can move people. So with the cruise facility not having bottlenecks and long lines of persons waiting to debark or embark, so get on or get off of the ship, and having facilities where the water taxis could have dispersed passengers. You have land-based taxis, you have land-based tours, buses and such. You have water-based tours, and you also have people who just want to walk to the city center. And based on that, you know, to a great extent for many years, we're able to handle the traffic situation. But that is also something that ties into investments into the country, is looking at the infrastructure. And again, your investment needs to be pragmatic, needs to make sense. Building a pier facility here doesn't mean that you're going to build 6 berths like what we have in St. Martin. It simply means, like yesterday, you had 2 ships in port. Instead of those 2 ships being, I don't know, 1.5 miles or 2 miles out on the water, they'll be alongside, giving ease and comfort to the passengers, and also opening ancillary service opportunities for the destination, or the country rather, which also opens opportunities for new entrepreneurs to enter into the market, and those who may be in the market to expand further out. You know, if I have a VIP guest, like frequently you have celebrities, movie stars, etc. on cruise ships, and they want to go on high-end tours. Now, high-end tours cost money. Who makes the money? The tour operators. But how are you going to have a SUV or a luxury van get to the ship if you're 2 miles out on a water without a road. So, those services are also very important as well to cater to the various passenger demographics on a ship. If you look at the ability to provision cruise ships, your cargo terminal is right next to the cruise port. Ours is similar, but a bit further away. And, I am also the CEO of the cargo port, but that goes hand in hand with our cruise product as well. Because many ships actually send their containers to St. Martin, and we load the goods onto the vessel. So that also boosts our cargo business.
And your cargo and cruise tourism and cruise are combined as one?
They are
entity?
combined. It's two separate companies, but under the same holding group.
And
right?
the physical landscape for them.
The proximity is a few hundred meters, is 200-300 meters away. So if you see, for example, where your ferry system is here and where your cargo port is, when I drove yesterday, a bit further to the left of the cargo port, there was like a little cove. So let's say on that side is a cargo port in St. Martin.
Very, very similar.
Example.
Okay.
Very similar.
Now, we have to go to a break, but I'm going to tell you what I would like you to talk about next. We note here on your bio that before becoming the CEO of Port St. Martin, you were also the Director of Operations and Development for the world's largest cruise corporation. Right? We continue to hear people here in the Cayman Islands being skeptical about the information that is being given to them about the size of vessels, the cruise vessels, that the cruise lines are downscaling, or upscaling, I should say, leaving the smaller ships behind and going to larger vessels, and that will require berthing as opposed to tendering. I don't think that there's anyone in a better position to know about that than Mr. Gumbs. So maybe we can, he can enlighten us into that, whether or not it is a myth that people think that the cruise ships, cruise lines, they're just bluffing and telling you that at the end of the day. What is the realistic position in relation to that, folks? Very important question. So you know what? If you want to hear the answer, you have to stay tuned. We will be back shortly.
The following is a paid political message by the Progressives.
Hello, Savannah. This is Donna Bush. On Election Day, every voter in Savannah will have a say in who our representative is for the next 4 years. Every vote counts, so I am asking you to let your voice be heard. If you want action and not more of the same promises, I stand ready to be your voice. Vote for number 2, Donna Bush. Together, we can build a brighter future.
We're moving forward. We're moving forward. We're moving forward. See the light again.
That was a paid political message by the Progressives.
Subway and Oreo has changed the dessert game. Introducing the Oreo Footlong Cookie, a full 12 inches of chocolatey, creamy goodness. It's big, it's bold, and it's here for a limited time. Perfect for sharing or not. We won't judge. Want it fast? Order ahead with the Subway Cayman Islands app for quick pickup and earn loyalty points. Or get it delivered straight to your door with Bento and Let's Eat. Don't wait. Treat yourself today. The Oreo Footlong Cookie is calling your name. Subway. Eat fresh. Snack sweet.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Protect your computers and mobile devices with security software to defend against cyber attacks through viruses, malware, and other online threats. Be aware of unsecure Wi-Fi connections when in public. If you need to access your online banking or sensitive information on your mobile devices, try disabling the Wi-Fi and switching to data from your mobile network. If you suspect a fraud attempt, please contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or belly fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
On something. You think if we keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, anything can change? No, brother. Cayman needs change. We deserve better. And I say no more. Caymanians are not for sale. Real change comes from hard work and investing in our people. And the time for change is now. And I will deliver the change we need. Ranking is the one for we. Give him the vote and you will see.
Attention, young voters in Cayman Brac. Are you between the ages of 18 to 35 years old? Well then, the Cayman Islands National Party invites you to espresso your vote at the Cabana Kai Cafe. Come on out on Sunday, 27th April from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and socialize for a stronger Cayman Brac. This is your opportunity to meet with majority of the Cayman Islands National Party candidates, chat with like-minded young leaders, and discuss key issues and solutions for your future. We look forward to seeing you there. This ad is sponsored by the Cayman Islands National Party.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. I just want to say to our panelists here that we have about another 7 minutes of talking. Then we go to our headline news at 1 o'clock. Good news is that when we return after that, we go straight through, for able to talk for about 25 minutes without any commercial interruptions at that point in time. For those of you who are just joining us, we do have in the studio with us Mr. Alexander Gumbs, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Port St. Martin, and Mr. Elio Solomon, who is the Executive Program Manager, the Association for Cruise Tourism, known by the acronym ACT, in the Cayman Islands. We're talking about cruise berthing, and Mr. Solomon, I think you wanted to say something before we went back.
I definitely do, and I know you have an excellent question that's pending, but I just wanted to jump in to say that, first of all, I wanted to highlight something I think that he stated, I believe, is worthy of underscoring. Without a doubt, as we look at stakeholders here, I want to, again, give kudos to the tender business that has been operating in this country for decades, because I think that they have done an excellent job. I just believe that as things go on, I keep using many different analogies, but the one I'll use today is we put the collar around the dog in order to protect him or her. But there comes a time you have to remove the collar. The same collar you put there to help save the dog might in fact be hurting it. And I think that the tender business makes significant large amounts of money here, and it's only reasonable for them to have offered some resistance, if you like, to seeing it. But I want to underscore what our neighbor and our friends have learned, and that is that you didn't lose the tender business. In fact, they actually transitioned, they pivoted to something else. In this particular case, the water taxes, and you can easily see how that could be employed. I mean, we have, for example, the Turtle Center, a zip away from one of the tenders, and again, all of those sort of things can actually take place. I want to again underscore as well, and he talked about the similarities between the two countries, where there were concerns that, and that they saw the benefits that you would get less anchoring, and we've seen those sort of things happen here in the country, Russian roulette taking place with the anchors. MSC, I think in 2014, destroying over 16,000 square feet. you will remember the Rhapsody.
Rhapsody,
right?
On the rocks.
And to his point about the ships being out there anchored and all the dynamic positioning, the constant running of the thrusters, noise pollution and other stuff, including the tenders, and all of those things will be able to disappear as a result of the piers. And these piers were also constructed, I think he said, not further than a mile away, if you like, from the beach. And like I said, I think we have so much that we can learn from our neighbor. I do want to just add one last thing before we get on to that excellent question that you wanted to ask. And that is, I know that there's been persons who have been, concerned about what happened to the beach. And let me just say, I give kudos to the progressives when they were in office in around 2019 time frame. I think they presented an excellent plan. And one of the things to underscore is that they stated that if at any point in time it was made aware in terms of the reports, the EIAs, etc., that there would be any damage to the beach at all, nobody would be moving forward. And I think it's fair to say that would be the position with any government, but it was clearly expressed by themselves. And I just wanted to highlight that DOE actually conducted a bit of a research. I think it was back in 2000 by a Dr. Richard Seymour, who actually confirmed that the sand flow is coming from a sort of northwesterly position above the island there and coming down. That's a report commissioned by, I think, the Erosion Committee in 2000 by Dr. Richard Seymour. And I just add that to say, I don't think you're going to have any issue at all in terms of the sand flow. When you couple that with the fact that you have pylons which clearly accommodate water flow, sand flow, and actually allowing fish and coral and stuff to thrive, I think that we don't have any of those concerns. And I just wanted to underscore that before we pose that wonderful question to our guest.
Okay. Mr. Gumbs?
Yeah. So your question in regard to the industry and the announcements regarding the vessels getting larger. It's not a myth. It's not a bluff. It's a fact. This is all public documents that can be found where, for the next 9 years, the shipyards are booked out. I think there's more than 70 cruise ships scheduled to be built over the next 9 years. From the 70 cruise ships, a significant amount are very large, so above 160,000 tons. If you look at Royal Caribbean alone, they debuted a beautiful ship, Icon of the Seas, which is the largest ship in 2022, I believe it was, 2023 actually. Last year, they debuted another one, Utopia of the Seas, which is the size of Oasis and Harmony of the Seas. This year, in September, they're debuting Star of the Seas, which is also the same size. So these are all ships, 3 ships launched by one company in the last 3 years, all above 200,000 tons. I just came off of the MSC World America that debuted last week. So I'm traveling for the last 16, 17 days. I can't wait to get back to my family. But this is also very important to show support to the industry because facts is facts. And it's very unfortunate at times that the reality is mixed with everything else but the truth. And, from that standpoint, MSC World America that I just came off of, the largest ship now in MSC's fleet, 215,000 tons. I just came off of...
And that's how many passengers are you looking at there?
6,000 passengers. I just came off as well after the MSC World America, the new ship from Norwegian Cruise Lines, Norwegian Aqua. That one is a bit smaller. That one was about 4,000 passengers. But not because a ship is 4,000 passengers and 130,000 tons means that there should not be a facility. So the narrative in regard to, the ships are getting larger, so we need a facility. Yes, that is a fact. But as a destination, looking at it from a hospitality standpoint, any ship should have a facility to be across from an experiential standpoint. I was at the port yesterday, and I kid you not, I stood for about 5 minutes or 10 minutes just watching persons being hustled out from the flow, going on to tours, etc. They did not have a chance to sit and take a picture with their family. They did not have a chance to breathe and look around. They did not have a chance to take a picture and say, hey, I'm in the Cayman Islands. They did not have a chance to go to information booth and ask additional questions that they may have. They did not have a chance to go on their phone and log into Wi-Fi and tell their family, oh my gosh, on a video, look how beautiful this country is. No, they were being hustled out like a factory. And I pointed out to the person who hosted me yesterday, I said, look at that. Out of the last 25 people that just walked through that fence, no one had a smile on their face. Furthermore, so that's the first impression Now, what is also very important in the hospitality business is the last thing you remember from a country. The last thing you don't want to remember from the Cayman Islands after you had such a great time with your family here for a few hours is that you had to wait so long to get back to the ship. You couldn't go at your own will, or it was raining, or the sun was hot, or whatever it may be. That is your last impression that you have on the country. And more than likely, it also takes away. So when certain reports say likeliness of returning, etc., that is also a contributor to that, because that last impression is what sticks in your mind.
Precisely, yeah. And if those are the persons that you're seeking then to convert from cruise tourism to stay-over tourism, you don't want to come back for a longer period of time, then, that could impact it as well. We have to go to our headline news. When we return, the conversation with Mr. Solomon and Mr. Gumbs will continue, so please stay tuned.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
By the end of March, Cayman saw 448,000 cruise arrivals, a 12% increase over the first 3 months of last year. Air arrivals also grew in March, up more than 2% to about 58,400. Air arrivals for January through March were just over 144,000. That's a 5.3% increase over the 2024 quarter one total. Most of Cayman's stay-over visitors come from the U.S., followed by Canada. In international headlines, 3 days of public viewing of Pope Francis's body by ordinary mourners and statesmen alike ended today. Francis died on Monday at the age of 88 after suffering a stroke. The Vatican says about 250,000 mourners filed through St. Peter's Basilica over the 3 days to pay their last respects as Francis lay in state in a simple wooden coffin. Disgraced former U.S. Representative George Santos, who lied about his life story and defrauded donors, was sentenced today to more than 7 years in prison, sobbing as he heard his punishment. Santos pled guilty last summer to federal wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. He appealed for mercy, telling a court through tears that he was humbled and chastised and realized he had betrayed his constituents' trust. Santos admitted to deceiving donors and stealing the identities of nearly a dozen people, including family members, to fund his winning campaign. As part of a plea deal, Santos agreed to pay roughly $580,000 in penalties. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter. Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Linton Nathaniel Tibbetts, 1923 to 2011. Linton Tibbetts was known throughout the Cayman Islands not only as a successful businessman, but as one who showed great interest in his homeland and invested time, money, and influence to help the welfare of his beloved sister islands. In the late 1960s, he organized the first annual Cayman Picnic, still held each July in the Tampa-St. Petersburg area, to bring together the many Caymanians living in the United States and encourage them to remember their roots. In 1972, Mr. Linton and several other successful brackers started an air service between Florida and Cayman Brac to bolster the sister islands' embryonic tourism industry. The air service was later expanded to serve all 3 islands with a fleet of 7 planes. He built hotels and museums on both sister islands and was involved in establishing Cayman Brac Power and Light Company. Although his career was primarily devoted to operating his chain of building supply stores in Florida, he always visited the islands frequently and maintained close ties with his family and friends in Cayman. Mr. Linton and his wife Pauline, Miss Polly nee Ebanks, had 4 children.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Say yes to progress, yes to job. Yes to peers that help our youths. Don't let fear decide the way. Vote yes to cruise on referendum day. Vote yes to cruise on referendum day.
Calling all residents of Grand Cayman and the Sister Islands to catch a ride on the Purple Train. The Cayman Islands National Party invites you to attend their finale party rallies for one last chance to celebrate the party and their vision of unity, prosperity, and hope. The celebration begins with all 12 candidates in Cayman Brac on Saturday, 26 April at house number 396, The Creek, starting at 6:30 p.m. and then continues in Grand Cayman on Monday, 28 April at A.L. Thompson's parking lot, Georgetown, starting at 7 p.m. There will be food, music, and live entertainment. Don't miss this chance to jump on the Purple Train and celebrate with the CINP. We look forward to seeing you there. This ad is sponsored by the Cayman Islands National Party.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today in the studio with me, Mr. Elio Solomon, who is the Executive Program Manager for the Association for Cruise Tourism in the Cayman Islands, and Mr. Alexander Gumbs, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Port St. Martin. Mr. Solomon, we have a question from one of our listeners. Says, good afternoon to you and your panelists and all the residents of the islands. Please ask Mr. Elio what role ACT sees cruise tourism playing in our tourism plan.
Well, I think, first of all, I think that's an excellent question. I thank the person for writing it in. You know, I want to borrow one of the statements that I heard Mr. Alex Gumbs make yesterday, and that was, you enter into this relationship as it relates to cruise, and it's a marriage. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. And in this particular case, the Cayman Islands has been married to cruise tourism for at least the last 40 years. And one of the analogies I use is the fact that you can't possibly have a tree that's been planted in your yard for the past 40 years and think you're going to uproot it and not potentially damage quite a few things in the yard and maybe even the structure of your house. I don't think it's anything different with cruise tourism. And I would like to state that it is already playing a significant role. And just to give a few examples, when you have cruise tourism right now versus, let's say, stay-over visitors, and this is not to knock stay-over visitors at all, but it is very complementary. In other words, your persons who are coming here via stay-over get an opportunity to immerse themselves into the country. They can go out if they want while they're here for that week or 2 weeks. They can play dominoes with the guys. They can go diving. They can go swimming. They can go hold the turtles. They're able to do a lot more things and immerse themselves into that particular culture, unlike the person who comes here as a cruise. And where that is, that they have a short period of time, what it also does is it creates a different type of industry, in the sense that there's a curative sort of process, in the sense that they're now willing, for example, to purchase someone who actually went ahead and crafted a turtle, because that's their only way of, in that quick 3 to 4 hour window, of being able to walk away with a piece of Cayman. And so what you find is that these high numbers and that demand to be able to take something back home, to allow them to get as close to that immersive experience as they stay over, creates a lot of industries. As you mentioned earlier, I wear the hat of chairman of the Turtle Center. Let me just use that as an example of the synergy and the symbiotic relationship between the two. Turtle Center gets pretty much between 50 and 60% of its business from cruise. So there's no way you're going to lose cruise without significantly changing what we now have as the Turtle Center, if you're not getting rid of it altogether. And where is that impact? Not just as an attraction, we also know that, for example, Turtle Center is where we're getting our national dish, the turtle meat, which I'm pretty sure you probably enjoy at least once or twice for the week. OC. So you see that there's already this wonderful symbiotic relationship between the two. If we were to lose cruise tomorrow, you will lose a lot of those different businesses, or at the minimum seriously reform them, because stayovers on itself in terms of visitations is not enough to sustain them. Again, in part because stayovers have an opportunity to immerse themselves in the culture without necessarily going to those facilities. So I think it is important to highlight it's already playing an awesome role. And I think I want him to give a couple of examples of even how further it's going to happen. But I believe as we develop and we get the peers, we give people an opportunity, one, to just experience the customer service that they should, whether we're getting larger vessels or not. That's going to mean they can spend more time into the country, which means they can get greater spend, And I think it just works for everyone. So I think that role that it plays will only continue to increase. But the warning I'm going to give is, please do not think you're going to uproot something that has been in this country for 40 years and not have a major impact. And you can use Turtle Center on just as one example. Okay. But if you don't mind, again, I'm going to play a little host for a second. But you go
I have
ahead.
another something that falls in line with what you just said and what Mr. Gumbs said that one of our listeners has written in. They said, welcome to your visiting guests. Very few Caymanians are against a cruise pair, but where it will best serve the country, where is and can accommodate the needed infrastructure to meet the added cruise traffic. As your guest said, the focus was not just on a cruise pair, but also the accompanying infrastructure. Glad that your guest did not realize the greatest reason the passengers were rushed off on their tour is because of the present holding area, which will only get more hectic with walk-off passengers with pairs infrastructure needs staring straight in the face again. It seems as if at that point were a little bit convoluted, but it seems as if they're saying, again, because you don't have the infrastructure there, that is why people are being herded on, to tour buses and stuff. There's no place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what I was taking away from the question is the person who seems to be saying that you have a bad situation now, and arguably it'll get worse when you get the peers. That's what I was walking away with.
Okay.
But let me just say this. I mean, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Gumbs can speak for himself, but I think part of what he said was, when you now have a situation that is, they have to be a cattle line to get off the ship and onto a tender, and then the tender arrives here, and there's a bunch of tents on Royal Watler. There's not even a nice little place where people can connect to the Wi-Fi, take a picture and say, hey, I'm in the Cayman Islands. And part of this rush is because of the lack of infrastructure position that we have there. But I like to believe that when we talk about berthing facility, as we talked about with the progressives, what they had done with the upland revitalization, etc., I think all of those problems can and will be resolved But you'd like to speak to that specific experience, Mr. Gumbs?
Yeah, like I said, it's all about logistics. If you have a flow of passengers solely exiting and entering the facility from one area, which I've seen that there's multiple opportunities to have that expanded out, then you will have those bottlenecks. So it's not what you have, but how it's structured. And there are professionals in the field who can facilitate with how best to improve the moving of people throughout that facility. It's beautiful. I've looked at some of the shops, a great bar in the middle as well. But there's opportunities there in improving that. If you look at where the fence currently is, for example, there's a lot of area there on the water side that can be pushed back from an ISPS perspective if there's a cruise pier. So all of a sudden now you have an additional, if I look at it, 400-500 square meters of space that can be also functional rather than having that big green fence that you have there for ISPS compliance, which I totally understand. We have an ISPS facility in St. Martin as well. It's all controlled. But again, it's not what you have, but it's how you structure that. And, that takes it a long way. And dovetailing back on what Elio said as well in regard to volume, if you look at the largest merchants or retailers, sales is based on viewage, right? So the amount of traffic that pass, and that dictates what the percentage of potential sales would be of persons actually coming in and purchasing something. And with the reduction, obviously, of volume, then, sales potential also goes down, and that has a further rippling effect. So that for us, from a country standpoint, also obviously plays into the economy being able to thrive, and also passengers having a bit more time on island that translates to expenditure. Right now, from a crew member standpoint, St. Martin is number one at $117 a person. And if you look at passengers, if you exclude Panama from that spectrum, is actually number two at $161. I believe USVI now is $164. They're number one. But over the years, it's always between St. Martin and USVI, right? And it's just because of the product. If you look at the port facilities in USVI, it's no larger than your facilities that you have here. But they're moving 1.8, 1.7 million passengers, just like St. Martin as well. So there's no reason to say that the flow of passengers due to a pier would enhance the congestion. No, it will actually assist with the experience, because persons will be able to walk down that dock at their own pace. Persons will be able to take a little golf cart down the dock if they are less abled. And they will be stopping in between, taking pictures and actually enjoying the view around, which is currently not the opportunity.
Yes. Yeah, big thing, impacting that spend, both in terms of spending time and spending money, which of course is good for the country, is the situation that people have to face what I would consider to be a cattle line. I'm pretty sure you've heard the terminology of a Class A person. Like, I'm a Class A person from the perspective that if my flight is leaving Cayman at 10 a.m., I guarantee you I'm there 2 hours minimum ahead of time, maybe 3. I don't like to be late. And if you take that same Class A personality and transfer it to cruise, if I know I had to stand in a cattle line for an hour, I'm constantly looking at my watch. And what that ends up is you have people who, they're just stressed. There's like a stress on them from the moment they get off the ship. And they're like, oh, let me just grab a T-shirt and go in my line and get back on. We can't have that sort of experience. And I don't want to diminish this in any way at all, but we have people that go fishing, OC, in a 14-foot aluminum boat that demands that we have a little pier that they can pull the boat up on. And we went fishing. So if we go fishing and demand that we have a little pier, my goodness, somebody who's spending thousands of dollars to come to your country should definitely have a first impression and definitely a good last impression. And we're not giving that to our customers.
And that last impression, if I just chime in, also add to the cruise conversion, right? So you can also ask persons, and I could speak from a St. Martin perspective, 2 out of 3 persons when you do the surveys in terms of, how they heard about St. Martin or why did they choose St. Martin, 2 out of 3 times was based on them having a cruise. And persons has to see cruise and itineraries are seen by many as a sort of a sampling process. So you get a little 4 hour here, a little 4 hour there, a little 5 hour there. And then based on those, you will determine, hey, maybe I want to go back to that destination that had a great experience and spend a few days. But if your impression of that destination from a port standpoint was not optimal or to the expectation, because don't get me wrong, Cayman Islands, you guys do a fantastic job with branding and marketing this country. Over the years, I've seen amazing marketing commercials at conferences, etc. But that's setting an expectation. And if that expectation level is through the roof, and you come in, the experience doesn't match or surplus that, you're doing a huge disadvantage to yourself. So that is something that has to correlate, because then that expectation of them coming on a cruise and this amazing experience, and then the first impression and the last impression probably was not optimal. They will think that maybe at the airport is the same. So now they might be wondering, okay, but how long am I going to be in a line now if I fly in? Or what this process is going to be like? So, from that element, from a country standpoint, you have to be all in. And I said this on a previous program, it's like a marriage. I'm with my wife now 20 years. We are married for 10 years. We have 2 kids now, 2 toddlers. And in that relationship, I can't be half in and half out, because we know those relationships don't last. If I was half in, half out, we wouldn't have been together almost 20 years. And it's the same with this industry. The industry is saying, guys, we love your country. Guys, we love what you offer as a people and the experiences. But by building a port facility, and there was a question on one of the programs yesterday, said, yeah, but, it's a cruise industry who can make the money when the pier get built. Nonsense. There's not $1 extra they're getting from passengers because it's a port facility. It's only the port and the people of Cayman Islands that's going to benefit from actually investing into a port facility, because now you're opening more opportunities for your people. You're opening entrepreneurial opportunities. It can spiral and add to new tour creations. The water taxi system can assist people with venturing a bit more further into the country. So it's only as a benefit of growth, moving people around and actually enhancing that experience opportunity, which ultimately leads down to an increase in dollars and cents and a higher potential of the likelihood of persons recommending coming to Cayman Island and the likelihood of returning to Cayman Island as an increase.
And I'd like to speak a little bit further to that point.
Sure.
I remember many years ago looking up the transition rate in terms of cruise tourism. It was somewhere around 2 or 3%. And by the way, we had a so-called expert that came here to say that she couldn't find the numbers, but it was somewhere around 2 or 3% many years ago. And recently we requested the information from the ministry. That number was up around 10%. So when you look at the impact of, let's just say you're looking at that $1.9 million or 1.9 million cruise tourist figure that you talked about at the beginning of the program, well, you're talking then 190,000 potentially might come back to the country as stayovers. One of the things that they have benefited again from having their peers is that they're now do the home porting. So again, persons can travel from around the world, go to the little country half our size, and stay in hotel for 1 or 2 days, however long it takes, eat at the restaurants, go to the bars, whatever it is, higher taxes, just waiting to get on the cruise the next morning.
But that also adds into one of the previous questions, Elio, on the symbiotic relationship between,
correct,
from a tourism standpoint, that also creates a whole new niche, a whole new market as well.
Right.
That's at this point in time here also untapped, because for you to home port a ship, you need to be able to service a ship. You can't service a ship if you don't have any facilities, right? So, looking at that, Cayman actually plays a very pivotal role in the western part of the Caribbean. And actually, during dinner last night, I made a joke, and I'll share it here. I said, in all fairness, me coming here actually has absolutely no benefit to St. Martin. So I'm here just as a cruise expert who truly cares about the business and want the Caribbean, East and West, to actually compete more against Europe, Alaska, and the Med. Because what you're seeing is that they are thriving and the Caribbean is actually lagging behind, even though the Caribbean is the largest market share. From a port, me in my capacity as a CEO, if Cayman Island doesn't develop their pier facilities, they're going to lose business for sure in the next coming years. If Jamaica doesn't get their act together in 1 or 2 of their piers, they're going to get a loss of business as well. What that means, ships are going to shift they're going to shift to the Eastern Caribbean.
Yeah.
Meaning my business is going to increase in St. Martin. So by no means, me speaking here has any benefit to us as a Eastern Caribbean destination, but as a Caribbean region, this is important for us. This is important that the Caribbean can continue to invest, the Caribbean can continue to actually thrive and grow the business, because most of the Caribbean destinations actually rely on tourism. While here, you know, you have your finance sector as well, that is a significant portion of your GDP. But you can imagine St. Martin, little St. Martin of 37 square miles between Dutch and French, 16 square miles on the Dutch side, 21 square miles on the French side. 95% of our GDP is tourism. We have no exports. All we do is export a little guava berry rum here and there, and that's it.
Yeah, so it is to the symbiotic question that we can look and see how all of these different things tie together. I mean, if we look at financial services in itself causes person to travel to the Cayman Islands, become stayovers. We talk about cruise and the transition there. The symbiosis is serious. And when you look at the potential losses, and I think you alluded to this earlier as well, you know, you also have to again consider just the revenues from the government. If we were to just create a static picture of saying the cruise tourists come on the cruise ships and never come off, the government is still getting $40 to $50 million. And you have to ask yourself, well, what are you going to replace that with? And when you start thinking about this, you really, hopefully, can start to make some, you know, mature decisions.
We're getting near to the end of, because we do have other guests out there, but I want to give both of you an opportunity for some closing comments as well. And we'll start with you, Mr. Gumbs, and then Mr. Solomon at the end.
No, I'm just happy to have the opportunity to be here to contribute to the discussion. I do hope that Cayman Islands find itself in a position to be able to make the needed investments to actually continue to be a great cruise destination and add to the Western Caribbean itineraries. And, you know, just also coming back to my initial statement about the barbershop, I would like to close by saying reduction in cruise traffic also impacts the wholesalers that services the restaurants and stuff like that. Impacts garages, because if there's no tours running, nobody going to fix the cars in the garages. Impacts the auto dealers, etc. So again, it's a holistic approach. All industries on island are touched by the cruise passengers positively, and I think from a sustainable standpoint, from a very pragmatic standpoint, the opportunity should be given to look further ahead and prepare for the future from that business standpoint.
Okay. Mr. Solomon, you want me to read this first, and then you can incorporate it into your closing comments?
Well, you had an excellent question, Nakeem, and you read that one. I'd love you to read that one, too.
Okay, sure. This person says, good day. I've been on the fence about the port. The more I listen to Mr. Elio on various platforms, I'm starting to be convinced my vote will be a yes. Mr. Gumbs has been one of the most balanced and enlightening expert Mr. Solomon has brought. He's really raised perspectives from someone who's living the benefits in his country and not from a cruise line. Thank you, sir. We hope you enjoy your time here. Thank you too, Mr. Elio.
Awesome. Well, I really thank the author of that particular text. Greatly appreciated, and I'm glad to know that we might have another yes vote. I just want to end, Mr. O.C., by first of all saying thank you very much for yourself and Radio Cayman for having us here on the program. The persons are going to go to the polls in the next 5 days to make a very, very important decision. And I just want to say that I want to encourage everyone to consider voting yes. If we vote yes, it means that the discussion can continue, the plans can be built, and we can draw the brakes as a general public via a people's initiated referendum and other mechanisms at any point in time that we want. But if you vote no, that's the end of the discussion. And quite frankly, my projections for the future and the experts would suggest that by the 2030, the Cayman Islands cruise tourism would be dying a very slow and painful death. And you can't kill cruise tourism without killing a lot of other things in the process. In addition to that, we have 2,587 Caymanians minimum out there in the cruise industry, and we have an obligation, as far as I'm concerned, to be our brother's keeper. I encourage you to vote yes. Thanks again, Mr. O.C., for having us here.
Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Gumbs, enjoy the rest of your stay here in the Cayman Islands as well, folks. When we return, we will have members from the TCCP party in the studio with us. We should have Mr. Anthony Ramone, their leader, Mr. Andre Ebanks, Miss Katherine Ebanks-Wilkes also should be in the studio with us, so don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. Talk Today will be back shortly.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit caymanairways.com/cargo.
Hungry? Need Subway any time of the day?
Yeah.
We've got you covered. Subway at Anderson Square, Centennial Towers, and Countryside Shopping Village is open 24/7, serving up fresh, delicious subs anytime you need them. And for your weekend cravings, West Shore Center is also open 24 hours on Friday nights and until 1 a.m. on Saturdays, because it's never too late for a great meal. Skip the line and order ahead with the Subway Cayman Islands app, or get your favorites delivered straight to your door with Bento and Let's Eat. Fresh, fast, and always here when you need us. Subway. Eat fresh.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
Cayman is being asked to approve a cruise berthing facility, but key details remain unclear. Where will it go? What is the actual cost? How will it impact local businesses and jobs? What we do know is that cruise corporations already keep 70% of passenger spending, and a pier won't change that. Before we commit to something this big, we need more data. Vote no on April 30th.
Cayman's economy should work for Caymanians, not cruise corporations. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
The following is a paid political announcement by the Caymanian Community Party.
The PPM had their turn. What did we get? Exploding population, soaring cost of living, secret deals, and unfair immigration system. You're scraping by while they help their friends cash in. You tighten your belt while they blow money on vanity projects. Enough is enough. The Caymanian Community Party is different. We will make sure Caymanians have an opportunity in our own country. No side deals, no shady alliances. On April 30th, vote TCCP for a stronger, fairer Cayman.
That was a paid political message by the Caymanian Community Party. The Economics and Statistics Office is currently conducting the annual business surveys until June 13th. The surveys collect information to answer questions like, how did the economy perform in 2024? In 2024, how much did foreign companies invest in the Cayman Islands? The surveys include all relevant entities that produce goods and services in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the ESO. Remember, better data, better decisions, better business. For assistance in filling out the forms, or for more information, visit eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600. The following is a paid political message by the Progressives.
Hello, this is Alba Suku. Newlands, you are more than just voters to me. You're my neighbors, my friends, and my extended family. I've been honored to fight for you, to listen to you, and to work for the future our children deserve. I know the hopes you carry because they're the same hopes I have for my own family. I'm excited for the chance to serve you again and to keep building a Newlands we can all be proud of. On April 30th, vote for caring, committed representation. Vote number 3, Alba Suku.
That was a paid political message by the Progressives.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. As promised, we have in the studio with us the leader of the TCCP, Mr. Andre Ebanks. Also with us, Ms. Katherine Ebanks-Wilkes and Mr. Anthony Ramone. I want to say good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Talk Today. First time that I'm having the opportunity to interview your leader, but we go back, a long way, even further with his dad. I have to give a big shout out, to him as well. But it's great to have you all in the studio again. Things are getting pretty close now. I think it's 5 days. We're 5 days away, as well. Lots of activities going on. Mobile voting, the postal voting is over now, but the mobile voting and everything. And I'm sure that you still have some campaign meetings and everything. We want to talk about your manifesto and all of the other things. Mr. Leader, I'm going to throw the mic over to you. Oh, just one more bit of housekeeping. For this is a paid paid segment on Radio Cayman. If you have any questions or comments, please send them to our WhatsApp number. That number is 925-3261, 925-3261, and I will share your comments with our panelists here in the studio. Mr. Leader.
Good afternoon, OC. Good afternoon, Cayman, Caymanians, residents, and Caymanians overseas. I'm glad that you shouted out my old man, Andre Ebanks, because I couldn't save you if you didn't mention it. So I'm glad that you did that, so I didn't have to. It's a pleasure to be here. You are correct. This isn't our first interview. We go way back. Yes. A couple of, maybe even say multiple posts.
Yes.
Multiple posts.
Yes.
In the life of public service, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. And I thought it was sweet to end off the week by being interviewed by you.
Great.
We are pleased to be here to talk to our Caymanian people as the Caymanian Community Party. It's absolutely our pleasure. Myself, as leader of the party, running for re-election for the beautiful constituency of West Bay South. And I'm honored to introduce my colleagues here today with me. To my right, I'll let her take center stage.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, OC, for having me and my colleagues here. And to all those who are listening, good afternoon, Cayman. My name is Katherine Ebanks-Wilkes, candidate for West Bay Central, and I am also seeking re-election for this constituency. Proudly running along with my colleagues from the Caymanian Community Party. And as you mentioned, OC, just a couple of days left, I think 5 days. And so we are on that last leg. And it's been really, really exciting to be able to get out into the community and have, even constituents, like what I'm finding is everybody is asking for more. Then can you have another yard meeting? Can I host in my yard? So it's been really nice. And certainly what I was just saying earlier was it's what I'm enjoying the most is the fact that a lot of the younger, a lot of the younger voters are now becoming a lot more engaged than I've noticed in 4 years, wanting to understand the process and how things work. So certainly it's been an exciting time for me as one of the incumbents seeking re-election. But I will give my colleague an opportunity to also speak a bit.
Certainly, Mr. Ramoon.
Number 10.
Number 9. But I want to thank you again, Mr. O.C. And again, good afternoon to the wider Cayman, Georgetown Central. It's a pleasure for me to be here and also for putting myself out there for candidacy for Georgetown Central. It's been a pleasure. The journey has been good so far.
Great,
and I'm
great.
sure it's going to be great as we go beyond the 30th of April. And when I say that, it's about also to reconnecting with my people on all different levels. So it's not just one level, but also to, I guess, to the point that Kathy indicated about seeing more of the younger people engage in the process, being more conscious and want to be more informed, you know, and that is very encouraging because, I mean, that was one of the challenges that I've had over the years that our people have not necessarily been properly represented or informed. How can we move forward together as a people? How can we elevate as a person? And those are the things that I'm looking and seeking to address and move forward as we go along in this campaign and this country together.
And how do we ensure that we live up to the expectations of those young people and keep them engaged by not disappointing them at the end of this whole process?
The end of the election process, the end of a term.
A term, yes.
I think by delivering. Where we have come across in canvassing and meetings and discussions, voter disillusionment is where they do not see promises convert to delivered projects, to delivered initiatives. And I think if the next government, hopefully is TCCP led, delivers, you will then have even greater credibility and you'll inspire even more people because they begin to see, so this is possible. You can see positive change. The proof will be in the pudding.
Can I add to that?
Of course.
In addition to that, I think is keeping them involved. Like any decision, when you allow somebody else to participate in the decision making and moving on in the journey, then they feel more engaged and participate more. So again, I think that is where we stand out as a party to be different with having our youth council and having our young people have an opportunity to hold us accountable by being able to come to caucus.
Yes.
You might want to talk a little bit more about that.
And we touched on this point in another program this morning.
Okay.
That the reason we joke and call him number 10 is because he was the 10th member of the team that completed the team. And so we said when we were complete as a team, we thought, okay, well, what else can we add to the party? And the Constitution has the ability, the provision, an enabling provision to allow councils. And there's a variety that you can think of that you can have a council, but we are all doing this for the future. The future belongs to the next generation.
Right.
So let's start with a youth council and let's shout out Ms. Leanne Tibbetts for being the chair of the youth council. It has done wonders for our thinking. We had a aim to get the manifesto out by mid to late March, and the members were anxious when we thought we had a final draft. We gave it to the youth council, and they pointed out things that those of us who still think we're young missed. And like, hold on, our generation will be looking for these things. Right. So we had to press pause, incorporate it, and then in the manifesto you'll see a section that's dedicated to youth, which isn't our input, it's theirs. So by setting the tone from the outset that one, you're contributing to the manifesto, you then have an opportunity Lord and people willing, it's a TCCP-led government, to now challenge us, come to caucus regularly, at least once a quarter, to see what we're putting forward. Does it match the manifesto? Does it deviate? If so, why not? Why or why not? Then come back and put forward their ideas of what they think should be advocated for. Because ultimately, we're also trying to groom the future leaders. I personally, I'll let Anttie and Kathy speak for themselves. I don't want to do this forever.
Right.
There's a certain vision and goal in our heads that we want to accomplish for our era. Their set of challenges could be completely different, but you want to identify the talent of leadership. And so hopefully by 2029, you don't see a mad scramble to try to find candidates. The leaders should emerge.
Right.
André? Okay.
Yes. In addition, I would say having that buy-in.
Right.
Once you're bought in terms of that belief or that vision, it makes it a lot easier and things can go a lot faster. And also about managing expectations.
Yes.
You know, being transparent, what is realistic, what is tangible at this point in time, and putting things in perspective, what is short term, medium term,
Yes.
and long term. And because again, when we say we're going to create or make promises that you know that is not within your control to start off with is one thing, and two, that you know you won't be able to deliver, and then you come to that breakdown of trust. And then that festers into a lot more things. So it's again about ongoing communication, that buy-in, and managing expectations, and that can go a long way.
Okay, we have to take our first commercial break. Ms. Susan, I'm going to throw it back to you now for a commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue with Mr. Andre Ebanks, Ms. Katherine Ebanks-Wilkes, and Mr. Anthony Ramone. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. Of course, they're from the Caymanian Community Party as well. Fielding 10 members in the upcoming April 30th general elections. 5 days away. Or you can almost say 4 days now. Away as well. And of course, it will be a holiday, but we want you to get out there and vote as well, and they will be talking more about that, encouraging you to get out there and exercise the franchise. It's good to hear, the positive feedback that they're getting from the young people and the focus that their party is taking in terms of our youth as well. So don't change that dial. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit caymanairways.com/cargo.
Freedom, Cayman Brac. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Which direction will you steer the country? On April 30th, you'll vote on 3 important questions. A national lottery. Could it boost funding or bring social risks? Cruise berthing. Will it help tourism or harm the environment? Cannabis. Could decriminalizing reduce pressure on the courts or create new health and safety concerns? Get the facts. Make your voice heard. On April 30th, you steer the country. Visit gov.ky/referendum to learn more.
Big decisions need real data. Before we vote on April 30th, we deserve to know the full picture.
A cruise pair would require dredging large areas of seabed, placing our marine life, coral reefs, and water quality at risk. While Cayman would carry the environmental and economic burden, the cruise lines stand to benefit the most. They already take up to 70% of cruise passenger spending through onboard shops and exclusive partnerships. Is it worth risking what makes Cayman special so that cruise corporations can earn even more? Vote no on April 30th.
Let's protect what makes Cayman unique. Vote no to cruise berthing infrastructure.
You're good looking. You have class. I never see a good looking girl starve yet.
Mr. Gus,
It's true, girl. If you don't use the looks you have, then what else you going to use?
Mr. Gus! Elite Productions presents The Rose Slip, a powerful comedic drama about finding hope when love falls apart. Directed by Leslie Ann Bernard, starring Michael McLaughlin, Wendy Miller, Zosha McGregor, Ivana Martinez, and more. 3 nights, one unforgettable journey, April 25th to 27th at Hartwell Theatre. Tickets available at ticketsplus.ky.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. I think I said for the record when we were going off to the commercial break before. You must forgive me, but I've been in here since 7:30. Well, before 7:30, but the show started at 7:30 this morning for the record as well. But it is my pleasure to have in the studio. When I say my pleasure, I really genuinely, mean that, as well, to have members of the Caymanian Community Party in the studio with us. Their leader, Mr. Andre Ebanks, Ms. Katherine Ebanks-Wilkes, and Mr. Anthony Ramoon, as well. And we're talking about young people before, and I know that, Ms. Katherine, you have been a strong proponent of advisory district councils, and despite the lack of any approved legislation, you have gone about and set up something similar that suits your purpose, as well. So we want to kick off with you in relation to that.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I mean, in terms of that, yes, it was a really nice exercise. I basically followed the Constitution and also the draft bill. And we launched a community experiment, I guess you could call it, where it wasn't anything that was affiliated with me. Members in the community were in the constituency were given the opportunity to nominate someone that they felt could serve on the district council. We called it constituency council because there were some confusions around the word district council. And then there was we call it a selection process that took place, and there was a council that was selected, and they did oaths, and they got started. But I think one of the things that was highlighted is the fact that everybody who was committed to serve found themselves challenged or strapped in terms of capacity with time. And I often say to people that that's one of the things with leadership that people sometimes don't appreciate until you're in a position, is how much commitment, how much time commitment it actually takes from you. So certainly shows that there is a desire from the community, but again, you just need to make sure that the people who are involved are, able to serve, due to their own personal commitments. But I know our party leader might want to share a little bit about what our party intends to do as it relates to constituency branches.
Sure. Mr. Leader?
So to take maybe a step back, when 4 of us on the 31st of October decided to take a stand on reasons that had already been highlighted in the public domain, we honestly at that point didn't have some sort of pre-election maneuver. We did what we thought was best for the country, to serve the country in different positions in Parliament, in the opposition, without trying to have some sort of electioneering ploy. So we then began to take a hard look around to see what our futures would hold, the 4 of us, which then culminated in, after looking over the landscape, culminated in, what if we do this ourselves and start and mold a party of our own design. And part of what we thought was integral in that process was one, not just only the councils to help you with various subject matters, because nobody knows it all except the Lord above. But then also, which links back and kind of connects to the youth, is the constituency branches for two purposes. One, where I talked about the succession planning in the last segment, where you're looking for what's going to be the next talent for those of us who aren't trying to make these lifelong careers, and see who will then fill seats that are not filled now by the party, where we have 10 and there are 9 more, and then who may be future leaders. But in addition to that, having had the experience as ministers, we now really recognize after a term, a minister can't get to it all. Try as you might. When you're juggling, now the country has $1 billion budget with sophisticated portfolios, from intricate domestic matters to complex international matters. And you have the weight of that on your shoulders, and then still to be able to keep up with the constituency. And there are things that occur that you can't post on Facebook when somebody's mom is sick, when somebody has some sort of abuse in the family, and how you're going to help to support that. That's not the stuff that you could add on Instagram. So to juggle all of that, plus other constituency or district issues, roads that might need repair, community centers that need to be set up. So if you're doing your job, particularly at ministerial level, you're performing the best way you know how, we should not be bashful about bringing in other resources, other individuals in the constituency to help, so that by the end of the next 4 years, a stronger body of work has been done for the entire country. So one of the things that I'm sensitive about in trying to apply to the next term is that in the capacity of financial services, there had to be, by virtue of the job and being on this international list, engaged directly, there had to be travel. So I've had constituents who will say to me, I understand why you had to travel, so it's hard for me to level this criticism at you. But at the same time, and quite a bit got done in the constituency on the ground, but how can we get more done? And we think by looking at this and including this in our mindset and our framework and our constitution, is by deploying additional persons to help at the district level, could then many hands make light work.
Yeah. Mr. Anthony, anything you want to add to that?
I mean, for me, until we get to that stage, again, we have prominent persons that have been community leaders in each respective district. And I think we have kind of fall away in terms of reaching out to those individuals or groups and putting some reliance on them or giving them the support, because they are pretty much sometimes the pulse of the community. And how can we draw from those experiences, their knowledge, and go and say, well, okay, like you said, what is needed down in this road, whether if it's drains, speed bumps, what are the concerns? Is it lightning, safety, all of those things, and bring it forward, and that can go again pushed up to the representative for that area, you know. So those are things, because again, it's about working together and having the understanding of the challenges of the people. And once I think that is established, then we can make things happen.
Okay. Ms. Susan, you want me to come to you now, or we can continue talking for another couple of minutes? We have about 2 minutes. One of our listeners was curious to know the position of the CCP in relation to the referendum and the referendum questions.
So go to vote.tccp.ky, and in the manifesto, each are addressed in a way that the party is going to be guided by the outcome of the referendum. Because at this stage, although Kathy and I, being members of parliament at the time, debated the bill with deep concerns about these questions being put to a referendum in the first place, where we have considerable concerns about what the outcome could mean, particularly for a vital sector, subsector of tourism, of cruise. That hasn't come and gone. They're there. Let democracy take its course, because that can't be erased now. And should the TCCP-led government come to lead the next government, then the position is will be guided by the referendum result.
Okay. Before we go to the break, I read this quick and you can respond to it afterwards. It says, good afternoon, OC, Kathy, Andre, and Anttie. You all look so fresh. I wonder if that includes me too, having, burning the candle on both ends, as well.
Of course
and,
you do, OC.
And I know as we get the results on the 30th of April, we will be happy. Please, the first thing I'm requesting when you all are elected is to put a hold on the PR and status and have the current PR holders' applications revisited. I'm not sure legally that part can be done, but we can talk about the rest of it when we return from our headline news at 2 o'clock. Folks, please stay tuned when we return to conversation with leader Mr. Andre Ebanks, Ms. Katherine Ebanks-Wilkes, and Mr. Anthony Ramone from the Caymanian Community Party will continue.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Jevi Ebanks. Premier Juliana O'Connor Connolly has led the opening of the Cayman Brac accommodation block. The facility addresses logistical challenges, supports large-scale projects, and enhances the island's educational and development capacity. Premier O'Connor Connolly described the block as a solution to development barriers, enabling managed growth and enriching the community. Acting Chief Officer Wilbur Welcome highlighted its role in overcoming project bottlenecks, and District Commissioner Mark Tibbetts commended the Premier for delivering impactful, lasting improvement for Cayman Brac. In regional news in Trinidad, Shumba James, 34, was killed in an exchange of gunfire with police on Friday in Moruga. James, recently released after being detained during the state of emergency, was the main witness in a 2011 case involving the police shooting of 3 men. Both James and another unidentified man were pronounced dead at Princestown District Hospital. James had been detained under the Emergency Powers Regulation on suspicion of planning targeted killings to hinder police investigations. The 2011 case saw 6 officers acquitted in 2023, while a 7th officer, who turned state witness, refused to testify. In Guyana, Sergeant Philbert Kendall, 45, was charged with the murder of 21-year-old Ronaldo Peters, who was fatally shot on the 7th of April. Kendall, accused of transporting Peters to a police station before hospitalization, appeared in court and was remanded until the 9th of May. The shooting, which sparked protests in Linden, also led to the death of 32-year-old Keon Fogarty during demonstrations. Investigations in both deaths are ongoing, with assistance from regional security systems. That is your latest headlines. I'm Jevi Ebanks.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Good afternoon. Welcome back to For the Record, members of the Caymanian Community Party in the studio with us, Mr. Andre Ebanks, Miss Katherine Ebanks-Wilkes, Mr. Anthony Ramone. One of our listeners said, good day, tell Kathy that she hit the nail right on the head by saying that the young people have to be involved / included in the plans of running this country.
Mm-hmm.
Hear, hear.
That's true.
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Over to you, Mr. Leader.
I think we left off on, I think, the topic of immigration reform.
Right, yes,
And
the other question, yes.
You were pointing out the legal difficulty on a complete freeze. I think that's what you were pointing out.
Yes, on the PR. You want me to read that one again for you?
Yeah, just in case people have just tuned in.
Okay. Let me find it. Says, please, first thing I'm requesting when you are all elected is to put a hold on the PR and status and have the current PR holders' applications revisited.
And that's what you were pointing out is
the legal difficulty. If you have already approved something, you have to have good reason to go back and look at it, or even to revoke it. At that stage.
But I think the thrust of the question is to have time to consider immigration reform in the country.
Yes.
What I gather is the thrust of that question.
Precisely.
And again, to put some data points behind this in terms of what voters can see, go to the manifesto, because we are blending immigration reform in terms of workforce development and having a national human capital plan, which is the matching of the data that we have as a country of where the Caymanians are in the job market, the jobs that are open. You've served on integral boards. You've served in immigration. The work permits that are applied for gives you incredible data as to what the private sector thinks the jobs are that are out there. We need to do a better job of matching that for the Caymanians that are available for that, who are either unemployed or underemployed, and then create a stronger pipeline for those Caymanians who are either being trained locally and accelerate plans for technical vocational studies, and those who are doing university level degrees in terms of what jobs will be offered to them. So there's a stronger matching of the jobs that are available, so that you are then limiting the need for international labor only when strictly necessary, and then having a stronger criteria as it relates to PR. Part of why we called the name, for many reasons, called the party the Caymanian Community Party, is because I think, and even up to my dad and your era, it was still felt like one country. So when someone came, pick someone out of the thin air. For me, I'll think of someone like J.C. Calhoun. Thick New York accent, but I still saw him as Caymanian because of how much he assimilated into the community. Think how much someone like him has done, Little League and YMCA. People saw him as Caymanian. We got to get back to that. Whereas now it feels that PR can be received in such a fashion that some of the metrics are actually contributing to some of the social problems and economic problems like housing. So no disrespect to whenever those rules are put in place, but now they're just not fit for purpose. Right. And we need to get back to then creating, instead of going on two separate tracks, returning to the community as a whole. So all of it is linked in terms of education, workforce development, immigration, and then the progression of how you become a valued citizen of the country, which is one of our precious resources that the country is granting you. And when that person receives that, we should all know, yes, I'd write that reference letter any day of the week.
I think one of the flip side of it too, and we always been saying it for years, we live with a two-edged sword. Whereas we say we're looking at work permits, and then we're looking at it as a revenue stream, so it's like, if I do or if I don't, how do we find that balance? But again, now we're looking at where we have to address it again from that workforce sustainability and how we manage that, and also again fit for purpose, putting it all in perspective and the whole impact that is having on their population growth, where it's saying, are we in the driver's seat? Are we controlling this right now, or is it controlling us And again, we were looking at the infrastructure, traffic, again, that impact. Is it happening? You look at the magnitude of the building, the construction, again, construction, workers, then ownership of those buildings that's going to come. The timeline on that, the multiplier effect, the domino effect, also too, our budget. What other revenue streams are we creating to address these issues, and who's balancing the budget? Not only balancing the budget, who's also contributing? I mean, we got large-scale developers coming in. What are the contribution back into the, to the economy? Are they carrying or sharing the burden of infrastructure, the social constraints and implications that we have in this country? So those are things that we as a team have to look out holistically and address those and be in the driver's seat.
And to add to what you're saying, with taking a holistic approach, and as you talk about revenue streams, also looking then at how we can reduce expenditure, especially as it relates to the Department of Financial Assistance, by getting our able-bodied Caymanians who are in a position that oftentimes it's not that they don't want to work, they're just being challenged with some setback or the other with getting into the workflow and getting a position that may not necessarily be minimum wage, but an attractive salary where they feel, enthusiastic about going out to work.
And removing the barriers.
Right.
Of why so in social development, what we saw when we were putting in place the Financial Assistance Act in 2022 and then the regulations after that and the policy after that, is that there were focus groups to ask persons, well, why aren't you working? Well, who will look after my child?
Right.
To even go to the interview, forget the job. And then I may not have had life skills such as interviewing skills. So if you begin to then design programs, and we did that for a pilot, to show if you had interviewing skills, resume writing skills, someone to look after the child and got the job. There are people now, particularly single women who are part of that pilot, that have gone on to have jobs and have not looked back for financial assistance. That has to be the motivation of the country, is that as much as possible, individuals are productive members of the society.
I want to switch gears for a second, and we hear the ads now going fast and furious, on Radio Cayman and elsewhere. But you referred earlier about the yard meetings and stuff like that, and we are seeing more and more of that this election cycle.
Right.
And it seems to be effective. Every candidate that I have spoken to, you get nothing but positive remarks, even if the numbers are small. But that seems to be the setting that a lot of people want to meet in. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I'd love to chime in with that. Just last night, I had a yard meeting that was requested by some of the residents in a particular neighborhood. And what I found was that a lot of civil servants attended the meeting. And what I feel we see on the campaign trail is that a lot of civil servants still feel uncomfortable going out to the large meetings, and how else are they going to be able to make an informed decision if they don't feel comfortable being able to attend without being, targeted or whatever the case may be. But I think the nook and cranny for me is, when I look back on my term, this first term, in 2022, I hosted a constituency meeting once a month, and I posted the calendar up for the entire year. And just about every single month, very few people attended. And I started to feel disheartened until another MP got on the radio, and there was some WhatsApp messages circulating. They were dealing with a major road issue. And the MP was urging their constituents to attend this meeting because the minister was going to be attending. And so that made me see, okay, well, people just don't want to attend these constituency meetings. And then, of course, as you go into the campaign trail now, you see where getting into the little yard meetings, getting to the people, maybe it's because a lot of them are taking place too, like on the weekends, right? So to me, it's looking at what works for constituents and just continuing that moving forward into the next term to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to, most importantly, understand the process. I mean, I think we all take that approach of explaining to our constituents, even simple things like the road works, like how does it work, and sitting down and explaining, like, well, typically at the beginning of the term, you know, all the MPs will provide a list to the planning minister. The planning minister will incorporate that into their budget. So these are things a lot of people don't really understand the process. So I find it to be very helpful.
Okay, Mr. Leader, your
I think you're right. I think it's a correct observation that there's a high level of engagement. And even if you see in a particular yard meeting rather than an area meeting, if the numbers are small, remember many of us might stream from our phones. And post-COVID, sometimes people aren't coming out in person, but you don't know how many people sometimes are watching online through multiple devices. So I think there's a high level of engagement. What I think we need as a country for that to turn to is voter participation. So you've come out to listen, but now, in order to make that matter, now it's time to turn in on the 30th of April to a vote. So for all of those, and this may be a moment to pause, it's just to say, putting parties and individuals to the side for a moment, we're blessed to live in a country where you actually can exercise the right to vote. So do so, because that is your avenue to be able to have a say in the construction of the next the composition of the next administration. And even if you're not registered, still participate by going out, listening to conversations and talking to people and urging them to vote.
Yep. We're going to hear from you, Mr. Anthony. As soon as we return, we're going to take our last commercial break. And we know your leader has, a hard stop because he has to attend another meeting as well. So we're going to take this last commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. Talk Today. We'll be back shortly.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit caymanairways.com/cargo.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walker's Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walker's Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Britke. Good like that.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in country.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. We're in the last leg of the show this afternoon with the members of the Caymanian Community Party. The leader, Mr. Andre Ebanks, Ms. Katherine Ebanks-Wilkes and Mr. Anthony Ramoon before we went to the commercial break. We were talking about the yard meetings, the engagement, up front and close engagement with people. And Mr. Ramone, we wanted you to chime in on this and, talk about your experiences on the campaign trail.
For me, it's been very interesting. To the point that you said it's up close and personal and intimate. And for me, each yard meeting has been different because, looking at Georgetown Central, it's very dynamic and diverse in terms of, the residential area, townships and so forth, and challenges, the socio-economics mix of families. So where what might be a priority in one road is next for the other. So getting close up and personal and hearing what people challenges, what their experiences is for me is, for one, they're being open, is heartwarming, and also two, to the fact of some of these situations that we still have in the Cayman Islands is heartbreaking at the same time. But so it's an eye-opener on all levels, but I do find them very interesting. And to your point also, too, given the fact that we can't necessarily always go by numbers, because also, too, you may have actual persons there that can actually vote rather than just persons coming out and hearing you, which is still good and encouraging because, again, we have to look at the country holistically, that where people are making informed decisions and also may have affiliation with, other members in different constituency, but they want to see how am I thinking in the general approach of the team itself. And I just want to stress also, too, we talk about exercising our right. And it's the one thing that each man have equally, irrespective, like I said in one of my meetings last night, regardless you're rich or poor, black or white, that one vote is just as powerful and can change the direction and shape of how this country, and that's where we have to exercise that right. Come the 30th of April, make that right decision.
Yes, some refer to it as the great equalizer.
That's right.
The same currency.
And on the same note of yard meeting, I do have a yard meeting tonight at Alamo Drive off of Cool Road.
Plug it.
Given to hopefully the weather permits. But it is the goal to have that meeting at Alamo Drive tonight also too.
Okay. And one additional challenge that might be worth noting, and our sincere hope is that Anttie has this challenge going into 2029, is a challenge that Kathy Ann and I have of being incumbents. Because although Parliament is dissolved, you're still viewed as the MP of the area. So Kathy and I will have persons who are constituents, regardless of what's going on, whatever yard meeting we have, whatever debate you have, whatever forum you have, I still have a challenge at a constituent level that I need someone to attend to. So we have that on top of the campaign, which then kind of helps me to reiterate a point I was making earlier about the district councils, because it's not so much that it may be too much for any one person to do. You can still try to keep up with as much as you can, and quite a bit gets done. It's more so putting the council in place of how much more can get done if you're allowing other people to be involved, without the fear of worrying about whether or not one of them might then come to contest you in the next election. If you've been doing your job as completely as you can, that should not be a worry. The concern should be the maximizing the amount of work that can be done at a constituency, district, and country level through 4 years.
And of course, if you're a minister whose portfolio requires you to travel a lot, that adds even more to it.
There's another dimension.
You may not have any other option, when it comes to traveling.
So how nice might it be to say, look, I understand that this is a challenge, and have a district council and a constituency branch that then takes that matter forward rather than having to wait until you return.
Exactly.
And I think it goes back to what Anthony was saying earlier. It then promotes more buy-in, and you're also empowering our own people. So everybody then feels like they're a part of the process, right? So it's not just one individual MP driving this thing forward. It's you're bringing the whole community and saying this is what we're doing together as the constituency.
Hence the Caymanian Community Party.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that word, empower, because that's when I first started my campaign. That was one of the things that I said. I want to empower people.
Right.
Where they can strive and thrive on their own accord.
Right.
And that's how we were in this country. You know, there was a framework that if you wanted to get up tomorrow morning and build or move something, you could have done that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The support not only financially, but the support of the community around you, the individuals, and how we live as one. And again, right now, we have a weakening middle class, if we do have one. And again, we have to look at our small businesses, entrepreneurship, how we can encourage them and support them to grow this country and bring our people forward. And I guess to the points that was being made by my colleagues is about it shouldn't be that fear of losing the power.
Right.
But if you're doing what you're supposed to do, then everything will fall into place.
That's it.
And we can't continue with the divisive approach of dividing our people to divide and conquer or to continue to be suppressed. No, we have to move away from that approach and about building community, building strong household in our community.
Okay. Now, Mr. Leader, I know that you have a hard break. We want to give you an opportunity for some closing comments. If Miss Katherine and Anthony can stay a little, for a few more minutes because we got a late start.
We'll be
but
okay.
We'll also okay.
We'll be okay because I'll approach it this way. Given in the position of party leader, I will just by virtue of that post have other exposure, whether it's the leaders debate, fireside chat. So I want to share it up and allow my colleagues, and the homework that I gave them is that if I share up the time more and give you the exposure, I want each of them to drive home the case to either West Bay Central or Georgetown Central, why you are the candidate of choice on the 30th of April.
Okay.
And then I'll have a few closing remarks.
Sure.
He testing us, OC. So are we at the closing remarks now then, OC? Or?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
And reminders of your meetings that you still have.
Yes.
And the big rally at the end as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, certainly it's been a really enjoyable afternoon to sit here with you, OC, and my colleagues. I guess this is probably our final hurrah until the next administration is sworn in. Hopefully the people of West Bay Central will re-elect me. And I want to thank the people of West Bay Central for entrusting me for the past 4 years to be their advocate, to ensure that their needs have been highlighted in any platform that I've had an opportunity to speak on their behalf, whether it is in caucus or cabinet. And, even whilst I was the speaker, I actually had a lot of, which when I think back on it now, I had a lot of bargaining power as the speaker for West Bay Central. And I want to thank the former premier who made sure to reach out and ensure that West Bay Central was included in the SPS and in the budget. And for me, this is something that I started 4 years ago. I promised the people of West Bay Central that I was going to fight with them and for them. And I've proven to them that that's what I've been doing. I've been able to navigate in some challenging waters. And the one thing that has remained true is the fact that I have upheld my manifesto commitment from 2021 to be honest, to lead with integrity, and to always make decisions that incorporate the people and ensure that the decisions I make are in the best interest of the country, not my best interest. And like I said, that's something that we've proven recently. And so I ask the people of West Bay Central, when they do go out to the polls on the 30th of April, that they vote for me once again so that we can ensure to continue this type of leadership that leads with integrity. And now the only thing that's changed is that I'm working with a group of committed Caymanians who are dedicating to fight for Caymanians as well, and to ensure that Caymanians come first in their own country.
Okay, Mr. Ramoon.
Well, for me, I'm here putting myself forward, and I said in my initial yard meeting, it was not necessarily an easy decision, but I know it was one that had to be made, a road to be traveled, given that the direction of where I was seeing the country and and observing the state of our people in this country. Because again, for far too long we have been left behind, overlooked, and pretty much taken for granted. And I don't say that lightly, because that includes myself, and it's the wider spectrum of our people, and not looking from our youth up to our elderly and all of those in between. And those, again, when I'm looking at the business class and the entrepreneurs, where we are fading, and as a people we are disappearing as a people. Our culture is also fading, and our identity. So there are a lot of things that is being threatened. It's not just the financial viability in this country, but we as a people are being threatened. And I don't say that in a negative connotation, but I would rephrase it then in terms of our mere existence is
at stake. Yeah,
is at stake.
Thank you. That. You should repeat that.
I think that was a good rephrase.
That is a good rephrase.
So when I said, and I heard the word about you throw your heart in the ring, and I said, no, I'm not throwing my heart. It's pretty much my whole body, everything.
So true.
And it is a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I see it as a lifelong commitment. I've been committed, I've been loyal throughout my life, football, family, and everything that I do, community. Whether if people may have not seen me, but I've been behind the scenes, in the front, on many occasions and different things. So, but again, I'm now putting myself forward out there to bring our people forward, to empower our people, because it's needed. And like I said, and I keep saying it, that we've been neglected for far too long, and we need good leadership with vision, integrity, and direction. Because I know where we would like to be, not only 4 years down the road, but 20 years and 30 years, because I have a young child, and many of us have young children. And if we don't give them a fighting chance now, it's not about 4 years, it has to be now. So we have an opportunity of where and what direction we want or need this country to go in, and it can't continue on the same track. And like I said, I'm putting myself, I'm willing, I'm going to commit it, but I need my people to give me that opportunity. And I'm not going to be held accountable just sometimes, but all the time. I'm an open page. You see what you get.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Leader.
So, Anttie, I could give you the A+ that I'm going to give Kathy. Since we've been in this and our personal numbers circulate pretty much in the public domain, do you want to offer a number that people can reach out to you directly beyond, say, the campaign headquarters number that's on the flyer?
Yes. And like I said, anyone, I'm an open page, open book. And on the campaign number, it has a 324-6014. My personal number is 917-6733, and I can be reached. And if I don't get to you right now or answer my phone, I will come back to you. Thank you.
Okay.
A+, the hopeful member in 2025 for West Bay Central, and the hopeful 2025 member for Georgetown Central. It's an honor to serve with you all and the rest of our colleagues and of all the support teams in the Caymanian Community Party. I could have never envisioned that a party that's less than 120 days young would attract the level of physical attendance at meetings, social media attendance, support on the ground at yard meetings and canvassing. Clearly, we have touched a nerve in the country that is looking for a stronger, fairer Cayman, that is looking for a group that stands above scare and smear tactics that we see being deployed. And I try to direct the team as much as possible to resist the temptation to go low and go personal. Sure, fiercely debate on the facts, fiercely debate points of policy, but let us resist as much as maximum extent possible to go low and personal, because the feedback that we get is people will say, well, how will that make my life better? I need to hear about what you're going to do about for us.
Right.
So as you go forward, Cayman, the voting populace, and some people have already voted.
Yep.
Thank you for your vote.
Yep.
Continue voting. But as en masse, we vote on the 30th of April, we ask you to consider what's at stake. And I don't think, Anttie, I think you need to say that Monday night, where our final team rally, complete team rally, will be Compass Green from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday coming. The complete team rally. Kathy and I have Heritage Park tomorrow in West Bay, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then we have a final election eve, Tuesday the 29th, across from Foster's Republics on Mr. Dalkeith's property, where we're going to have our final stand for West Bay. So that next morning, 7 a.m., Cayman, vote for true positive change that will lead with values, lead with character, lead from without side and special interests and side deals, to bring this country to the true potential that it can completely fulfill, and have us in a position where all Caymanians can benefit and participate from the success that's coming to the island. Vote TCCP straight on the 30th of April. God bless you, OC. Thank you for your time. God bless Radio Cayman. God bless the Cayman Islands, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and good luck to all of you, as well. I am not sure whether or not we have any other interviews scheduled between now and that would be on Tuesday, would be the last day for interviews as well, but good luck to all of you as well. I want to say to our listening and viewing audience also, thanks for joining me throughout the day. Please enjoy the weekend. Please stay safe, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
Talk Today is also brought to you by Mike's Builders. Call 923-0706. Mike Builders. They make it happen.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman.